Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Fiber and Dice podcast. I am your host, Rebecca. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Engineers Falcon. You can find show notes at www.bluebonnetfibers.com. Bluebonnet Fibers on Etsy is where you can find my handspun that's for sale. And you can find the group on Ravelry for the podcast at Fiber and Dice. You can find the Bluebonnet Fibers group under Bluebonnet Fibers. I have not recorded again. I actually recorded the last day of the month in May, and it went up on the 1st of June, and I have not recorded again because, quite honestly, I have really not had much to show. Fiber, very little. Dice, very little. We have been very busy. We have been productive and happy and lots going on, but not much that I figured would be of interest to the people who are here for Fiber and Dice. We are right at the end of our school year. We homeschool, and we will be switching semesters between June and July. We run from January to June for our second semester, and then we'll start our fresh semester in July 1st. I have had some minor health issues that we have gotten under control, which is nice, but that involved a week of doctor's appointments, 2 weeks of doctor's appointments. We have traveled 3 or 4 times. I think every weekend we have been somewhere except last weekend. I think we stayed home last weekend. And we had unexpectedly, but a huge blessing, when we moved from, I'm really trying to work on the glasses glare. When we moved from Corpus Christi to Midland, we had planned to be in our apartment for 3 months. We were there almost 2 years. Well, we're still in an apartment. We've decided we're not going to buy a house. We are going to be very content in our apartment. But since we were moving from 2,200 square feet to 900 square feet, pretty much everything we owned went into a storage shed. This was the week to deal with the storage shed and everything that we had previously owned. A lot of it, because we had not planned for our things to be in storage that long, was replaced, which was a good thing. But we had lots of things that we got for our wedding, furniture that it was hand-me-downs that we were very blessed to have and so grateful to have. But now it's kind of fun to be able to pick our own things. And so there was lots to do out there. There is still lots to do. But we spent all weekend, my family was down here in various groups for various periods of time, and we've actually got more friends coming on Monday to help with all of that. So it has been nonstop, good but crazy. So that's where I have been. I guess the first segment to discuss is the climbing the mountain type segment. And while I don't have tons to share, I think this episode is going to be called Lessons Learned. I've learned some important lessons since last we spoke. How about I talk about this? This was a skein of Knit Picks Stroll Bear. So it came to me all white. I have been missing. I had just barely started dyeing when we moved. That same move from 2 years ago where I'm just now dealing with the stuff from storage. And all of my things to dye with went to storage. We have not found them yet. We're not that deep into the storage shed, but they will turn up soon. So I decided to, Harry Potter House Cup prompt got me interested in dyeing. So I dyed this with pomegranate juice, and it was taking the color beautifully. This is the color it dyed with the pomegranate juice. And I just put one end into the dye pot like I had the skein, and I put part of it into the pot with the pomegranate juice and then let the rest stay out so that only, half of it is dyed, and it'll be a little variegated-y. And it was taking the color beautifully, but I really wanted more variation in it, so I added 4 little drops of red food coloring to the top and let it soak in wherever it wanted to. I just put them literally on top of the water and let them drop wherever they wanted. So it's whatever those colors want to do. Very pleased with it. Loved how it turned out. Moved it to the sink to rinse. And that's where I learned an important lesson. Do not trust. Do not trust the ties that come on the yarn. You should totally add more ties and make them very secure. Because when you drop this in to the water to rinse and it is not secure, it makes a huge mess. I literally spent, this was when Charles was out of town. I think the true crazy started when Charles traveled, and we're just now recovering from it. I spent the whole week he was out of town picking this mess back into usable yarn. But I'm very pleased. I had so much fun. It really does make me want to experiment and dye some more things up and see what all I can do. So lesson learned number 1, when you dye yarn, and I had heard this lesson before. This was not actual news to me, but I didn't remember. I was in a hurry and I was excited and I was so raring to go that it never even crossed my mind. So I will put a link. I blogged about it actually on bluebonnetfibers.com. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes, and the episode 40 thread, the episode 40 thread on Fiber and Dice, so you can see the pictures of the horror. They were actually really horrific. Lesson number 2 I learned. I showed you when I podcasted last time the fiber I was working with, and I really wanted to turn it in for Harry Potter House Cup, which is great. It was fun. I got it finished, but I didn't have anything to skein it with, so I skeined it around chairs. So you've seen this in its almost finished form. So I skeined it around the chairs. I was very careful. I counted. I did all the things I normally do around I don't have a skein winder. I use my Swift. What I didn't take into account, 2 things. 1, the chairs got narrower. The shape of the back got narrower. And as more and more tension went around those chairs, they started scooting forward a little bit. So this skein, gets narrower and narrow. See, right here on this end, it's very, here, let me put my hands all the way through it. See, when I pull the blue snug, I can't even turn my hands out far enough to make the brown snug. So it will need to be I'll need to ball it up and wind it on my skein winder so that it doesn't do that. But I have to tell you, I can't wait to get this in the shop. This yarn is gorgeous. I am so pleased with it. It hasn't soaked yet because I don't want to soak it until it goes from this mess to the skeiner, to the ball winder, back to the Swift, and then into the bath. And then it will be ready to go up in the shop. So this needs to do the same thing. This was a one-of-a-kind kind of end-of-the-day thing from Fat Cat Knits. And so it is, one of the plies is a light purple color. I think I showed the fiber before. And then it is plied with, the single that it's plied with is lots of different colors. So it's darker purples and lighter purples and grays. I'm really excited to see how this looks. Hopefully I'll record again in a week or 2 and it won't have sold from the shop and I can show you how it looks all put together. So I did not actually yet learn a major lesson from this. So that's good. This one kind of just went as it was supposed to. And my last lesson learned is actually a lesson, not a bad lesson, just something I am learning to do new. I am this fabulous fiber from Yarn vs. Zombies. It is 100% superfine merino. It was from the last year's Gear of the Geek Fiber Club. And I love it. I love the colors. And I have decided that this will be a fun fiber to learn to cable ply with. So I'm divided it into quarters. I am spinning just as fine as I can convince it to spin and stay even and not break. It's not as even, not as even, it's really even. It's not as thin as I would like to be able to spin someday, but feels like a good start. So I'm doing 4 singles like this. I will ply 2 of them together and 2 of them together, and then I will ply those 2 together to make the cable ply. So hopefully that will be a smooth lesson learned. I will know how to do something new without any drama. I'm not holding my breath for that, but kind of have my fingers crossed. So that's what I will be working on once we get back into our normal routine. So what else do I have? I would like to talk just for a short moment about our yarn along with Fat Cat Knits, our game along, yarn along excitement. I got the email from her today that she is working on our colorways, so I expect to see those very soon. And that's going to run sometime in July to sometime in October. And when everything is ready for you guys to start ordering and we have time to ship there, we'll set the official formal dates for that. But we'll have 3 full months to spin. She's going to do 2 colorways. It will be Dungeons & Dragons and Sushi Go officially. If I had not announced that, I think I did, but just in case I didn't. Sushi Go colorway and a Dungeons & Dragons colorway. She's going to do each of those colorways on 2 different fiber bases for spinners and I guess felters. I don't know anything about felting, but when I look on Etsy, it says great for felting or spinning. So I assume that you can do things that do both, but one of those might be superwash. I don't know. I just don't want to exclude people who do felty things feeling like you're not welcome here because I like all the fibery things. I just don't know about them. But two bases to spin and also on sock yarn. So you can knit or weave or whatever creative things you want to do. And I am excited. There will be a prize from me of Fat Cat Knits fiber and a prize from her as well. So I think I'm going to order lots of everything and I will probably make myself some socks with it. And I will spin up some of it for my own personal use, but I think I'm also going to spin some of the colorways and put them in the shop. So if you don't spin and want some hand spin out of it, I am hoping to put at least a little bit of that up in the shop. So that is really all I know. We have not gamed hardly any. Well, I take that back. We did go to game weekend in New Mexico. We do that once every month or 2 and game with our very best friends there. And we did, and it was lots of fun. We just gamed a lot. We played lots of games that I've talked about before. We taught them Flashpoint, which I think that was the last episode I filmed. I talked about Flashpoint. So, and I have lots of small games and big games that I'm going to talk about in the future. I'll just plug this one real quick without giving you a whole rundown for it. This is Dia Monsters. It is by the artist and game designer from Sushi Go. It is this is a fun game. It's a fun game for families. We like it. I'm sorry, I would be concentrating better, but every time I put this in the screen, it completely changes the color and I look all jaundicey. Okay, I'm sorry. I will focus. But I'll be talking about this game coming up in the next couple episodes. We'll be talking about just desserts in the next couple episodes. And I have put right here a whole shelf that 1, 2, 3 of them I want to learn to play so that when I see them on the podcast, I'll remember, hey, we got really good deals on these games. And so maybe they will be high on the list to learn to play. So I'm sorry I didn't have more content for you guys this week. Just real life was all over the place. But I missed you guys, and I want you to know that things are moving forward. There's going to be more fiber up in the shop. There's going to be real podcasts coming again soon. There's going to be the Yarn Along is still, pretty close to on track. We'll start sometime in July. So all of those things are moving along. I, didn't fall off the face of the earth. I am fine. Not like last year when about this time I couldn't film for an entire month because I didn't have a voice. This month has just been full of real life. So I hope that, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, I will see you guys again in a week or two, and we will talk all about, hopefully, the yarn along. Bye.